had to try to stay perfectly still because those thumbnails, they be killing us every time. Mouth be open, we making all types of faces, and you just have to live with that. Good morning, good morning. Good morning. As usual, let's wait for a few people to come on. Don't rush it, Joe. It's still morning. Good morning. Good morning. I'm gonna try to keep it at good morning because I just got off work, so I'm not trying to rush through the day. Let's take it easy. Let's take it easy. Good morning, everyone. All right, so I'm pretty sure who says it? Marshawn Lynch, right? You guys know why I'm here. You know why I'm here. We're gonna talk a little bit about this right here, contract. So first, I would like to introduce myself for those of you who are not familiar with me. I am Kimberly Nuke McLaurin, train operator, B division currently, but I used to be in A. This year makes 15 for me. Shop steward, member of Progressive Action. So where do we begin? Where do we begin? This might have to be one of those tough conversations. I know a few people may not like what I have to say, or might not like how I'm going to say it, because I'm going to say it just how it is. Maybe a few departments won't like what I have to say, but I'm going to say it how it is. Pretty much. Well, first let's say this is available on TWUlocal100.org. So if you have not seen it, go to our union website and then you guys can check it out yourselves. This is something that they've been doing in the recent years. They've been passing out these highlights for the contract, and we have not really had our hands on the MOUs. The MOUs is the actual contract where you see the actual exchange of things that are going on. You don't just see highlights, it's everything. Like last contract was what we like to call the contract of committees, where we didn't really get much, we lost a lot, and they just gave us committees in return. So like I said, you can find that, and you guys can follow along on our union website, TWUlocal100.org. It will be the first headline with the new sitting president, Richie Davis's face on it. Go down to the bottom, I think it says read more, and then from there just follow the prompts, and then you'll find the list of highlights. First off, I would like to say, which is pretty obvious just from an overall, like just a quick look at the highlights. I mean, they're up to their same old tricks. They've done this year, contract after contract after contract. They have basically just sold the contract to Surface. And if you're not familiar with Surface is buses. So what they do is they give them these little perks, these extra benefits, extra money, just so that they can pretty much put them in a position where they're selling out the rest of the union. So it's disappointing because it works. It works. It completely works. Right now they're about to offer, well, they're offering $4 for an articulated bus rate up from $2. And if you recall, they just got the raise to go to $2, because I think it was $1 before. So within the past 2 contracts, this will be the second bump in articulated bus rates. Bus maintainers, they get an extra $1,000 bonus. Like you have the bus passes. So pretty much it's obvious who this contract is pandering towards and who they expect to push it. So as a bus operator or as a person in Surface, a maintainer or whomever, I would feel offended. Traffic checker. Well, you guys don't even benefit from it. Let's just say that. I would be offended. I would be offended that they think that you're so ignorant And they would think that you are so self-serving that you would give up the rest of the agencies, the rest of the departments, just for your own benefit. It's I had a call coming through. It might come through again. That's my aunt. I'll call her back. I would feel offended. I would feel like it's a slap in the face. Matter of fact, this contract is a slap in the face, period. But to say, okay, well, I know for a fact that if we put some sprinkle little things in there for buses, they're going to push this through and just trample over everyone else just to get what they want. But I've seen some of the comments already, and it seemed like it's working. It's working. People are very excited about the extra $4. But let's just say this. Articulated bus pay has had 2 raises within the past 2 contracts. Yet, Opto, one-person train operation, has not received a bump in pay in over a decade. And, well, it's probably 2 decades by now, if not more. Not one bump, not $1, not 50 cents, nothing. And not only that, night differential hasn't changed at all. So here it is that they're presenting buses with, surface, with this $4 pay bump, this $2 pay bump to $4, but there's no mention of anything for RTO. Now, when people think MTA, it's a combination of subways and buses. This is not a system that it just runs on one department and one department only. We all have our own strengths. We all have our own purposes, but it's clear that one department, if not 2 departments, are being left behind. And I have to, in most cases, the departments that are left behind tend to be RTO and stations, but stations have had some wins, and I have to credit their VP Kelly for that. It's not stations department fault that our representation is lacking. So when people talk about, because I have to speak about that as well, the fact that now after the raises, collecting agents will be making $39.08 when conductors in RTO will be making $38.15. Now, once again, this is not a shot against collecting agents. However, let me not even put however in it, because you know how they say everything before but is BS. I'm not going to say it like that. This is egregious. It's not about the fact that collecting agents will be making $39.08. It's about the fact that conductors have fallen so far behind. Now, this is something that cannot be debated. The responsibilities of conductors far surpass the responsibilities of a collecting agent. It far surpasses that. They are responsible for thousands of passengers, not during the day, during one run. They are responsible for thousands of passengers. They are responsible for making sure people get to their destinations safely. It is a safety sensitive position. They have a lot going on. So, and not only that, is some of the responsibilities of collection agents now moving forward to now will mirror the same responsibilities that conductors have. So this is where the problem lies. It's not in the fact that station agents are making what they're making. It's the fact that why has RTO fallen so far behind? Am I making sense? So big up to Kelly, VP Kelly, for doing what he had to do for his department, but boo to RTO's representation for not stepping up for us. This makes no sense. And not only are conductors responsible for safety, they have to be versed in the equipment that they're using. Like, we just had a new train released. They have to be qualified in that. They have to be qualified in evacuation procedures and fire procedures. So I'm not saying station agents aren't, because I just did fire school. They were there, but it's a different matter. They're not evacuating trains. They're not navigating people through tunnels during blackouts or floods or power outages. This is crazy. It makes no logical sense. I mean, it makes sense if you, I mean, we know what the cause is. It's just poor representation. Now, I have a list of things here that I wanted to bring up. So another tactic of our union is, again, to put these little green checks and then use bold print. Fonts are very important. If you know anything about graphics, font is very important. So they're saying that we're getting a compound. Keep in mind that the word compound raise of 9.8%. So the raise is actually 3%, 3%, and 3.5%. The extra percentage that they threw in there is from this $4,000, excuse me, a $3,000 bonus, followed by a $1,000 bonus. So they're doing their calculations and saying, okay, well, this is a 9.8% raise. So that's what they do. This is a slick talking, pretty much. We all know you can't really cash that out or you can, but the bonus tax is going to rip it to shreds. What happened to our hazard pay? Even pre-pandemic, we qualified for hazard pay. So now they want to bribe us with $4,000. We lost, and I stopped counting at this number. We lost over 160 people. And they feel like $4,000 is compensation. And hold on, I just asked one of the e-board members, the $4,000 isn't for everyone who worked the pandemic. It's an essential worker bonus. So this is not even compensation for COVID. There's no compensation for the pandemic. So if you worked the pandemic and then you retired after that, you could have, say you retired this year. No, everyone's retiring now this year, last year. You don't get that bonus. But if you were hired prior to the ratification of, well, I guess prior to this contract, then you would get it. You didn't even have to work the pandemic, but you get the essential workers bonus. Not saying they shouldn't get it, but where's our hazard pay? I still remember the clapping. Do you guys remember? I don't know. I live in Manhattan. So do you guys remember, what was it, every day at, was it 3 o'clock? I think it was 3 o'clock or something like, I think it was twice a day. They would clap for all the essential workers, and we were heroes, and we kept the city going. And being that this is New York City, we didn't just keep our city going. We kept the world going because we made sure the money kept flowing. We made sure the money kept flowing. So I know when people see 3%, 3.5%, we've been so beaten down each contract that we think that this is good. Some of us, we think that this is good. It's called conditioning. So if you're used to seeing 1%, 1.5%, 2%, 2.5%, you're going to be like, oh my God, a 3. Anyone have any idea what the inflation percentage is for this year? I think it's 6%. What about cost of living? In effect, we're so far behind. So even if they gave us what someone would deem as a substantial raise, we're still behind. There is currently, if you're interested, because that's another thing I want to talk about is employee retention. Amazon is hiring for a stay-at-home position, customer service, for $35 an hour. Pretty sure it's a less stressful thing. You don't have to worry about steel dust inhalation or silica or diesel fumes. You'll be in the comfort of your own home, making $35 an hour. Do you know how many people quit during the pandemic? You know how many people quit after it started to, I guess, taper down a little bit? People are saying, forget this job. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. And then it's not like anything has changed. How many people do we know that retire and don't make it past 2 years? How many people do we know that plan to retire within the next few months and they don't make it to retirement? And that's another thing. Our health. I haven't seen anything about improvements on sick leave policy or sick days increase or mental health days, because I remember what I went through during the pandemic. There was like a state of panic. It was a state of panic. And not only that, the amount of violence that's happening now outside of the pandemic, even during the pandemic, but outside of the pandemic, just the amount of violence that's happening now, it weighs on the psyche. It weighs on the body. It adds stress. The thought that you can come to work and get shot in the face with a BB gun, or stabbed, or punched, or kicked off a platform, or shit smeared into your face is enough to take years off a person's life. And this doesn't just affect us. We take this home to our families. Some people react to stress by shutting down. So if you have a wife, a husband, kids, your elderly parents, or anyone that relies on you to be mentally sound, this job is doing us all a disservice. They should be the first ones making sure that we have access to the best medical, the best dental, the best policy as far as sick is concerned, and the best policy as far as comp is concerned. Because I didn't see anything about improvements on comp. There was I believe she was a conductor that was involved in, that's another thing, in the mass shooting at 36th Street. And they were messing with her comp. The fact that they have to debate whether or not you should get the 3 days off for a 12-9 should tell you their state of mind and how they feel about us. But let you run up on one of these execs and go, boo! They're taking days off. They're stressed. But we can almost strike someone with our train. I remember that happened to me years ago on the 3. I was so shaken up just with the thought that I almost hit someone. Should have happened to me on the D as well. This is a thing that happens. So that's added stress. You're just so shaken up. I was shaken up to the point where when I got into the station, I burst into tears. Because not only was this person almost killed by my train, this person was my coworker. It was a rookie mistake at the time. We talked about it. They said, like, okay, it wasn't her fault. Somebody cleared up wrong. But just imagine that. Not only would not me, you can't pose it like that, but how do you stop yourself from thinking that? I almost killed this person. But they want to fight you for 3 days off. And then when you take the time off, they want to threaten you to come back. I wonder how the public would really feel if they knew that their operators are traumatized and sent back to work, and taking them to work, and their children to work, and their parents to work? How would you feel if you knew that the person that was operating your train was terrified of coming into stations, or distracted because they're focused on something that happened in the past? People are attacked down here and they're forced back to work too. And it's not like the MTA takes all precaution to ensure our safety and then something happens. They're completely lackadaisical about our safety and then something happens. And on top of that, they compound it. Here go that word compound again. They compound it with, oh no, bring your butt back to work. And the shittier end of that is our union representation enforce that. If you think they're not invested in employee availability, you're wrong. They're part of the reason why comp is so bad. They often don't talk about this thing that they put in the contract, not this one, previous contract, about gain sharing. The more people come to work, they get a little bonus. Why should our union profit off of workers coming to work? Why isn't our union more concerned with our safety, which we have been shown that time and time again, especially during the pandemic, where our top officials sheltered in place while we were out here getting sick and dying, getting our families sick and our family members dying. And that just brings me to this whole thing about, oh, no give backs, and you know, when we ask for something, TA is going to ask for something in return. That's not how contracts are supposed to work. It's not supposed to be an exchange. They're paying for continued service. They're paying for our expertise. They're paying for our professionalism. But so why are we giving them something back in return? Especially health benefits. They're the ones killing us. Why are we giving back health benefits? How many people you know who are suffering back issues, freaking wrist issues, elbow, shoulder, hearing loss, hip issues, knees, feet? We're sacrificing our bodies for this job. And in return, they can, at the very least, they can't even pay us. They can't even compensate us monetarily for the sacrifice that we give them today. I'm not talking about how at the end you can sue or you do this little thing where they give you money for your knee. Forget that. What am I getting today? I might not make it to the end. Working at this job, I am fully aware that the possibility of me not enjoying my retirement and seeing possible grandchildren in the future is a part of my job. I'm fully aware of that. But there is no compensation for that. And they look at you like you owe them something. You should be happy you're here. How dare you complain? How dare you say anything? Oh, you posted something on the internet? Oh no, you can't do that. You post something on the internet about the treatment happening in the MTA, they'll attack you for that, but not attack the reason or the cause of what you're saying. They won't look into what you're saying. They'll just look at what you're saying. This company wants to be the leader so bad in transportation, but they do not invest in a most valuable asset, which is their employees. I do not understand how this company functions like that. When you have happy employees, you have more productivity. Productivity goes up. Your customers are happy. You want people to come to, here go that employee retention again. You want people to come to work. Treat them like human beings. Pay them their worth. Give them good conditions to come to. Let them rest up when they're sick, not jump through hoops. Let them stay out when they need to mentally reset. They don't do that. They don't do that. And I will continuously stress this. And I need you all to understand this. We are their most valuable asset. Outside of us, they have nothing. But somehow, in this abusive ass relationship that we have with our employers, they have tricked us into believing that we need them. They care more about their equipment than they care about their employees. I still remember the whole policy. Like, okay, again, I'm from RTO. So if we put out train accidentally in emergency, we can possibly have a dam for that. Now, it's probably eased up a little bit over the years, but I remember that was a big thing for a very long time. You have to call it in. You have to make a report. It could turn into a, depending on who you got on the phone or depending on whoever the superintendent is, it could turn into a big deal. The fact that you dumped your train by accident, especially if it's in motion. And that can happen. You can hit a bump. It could be a crack in their rail. You hit a bump and the shit pops up and you go into emergency. That could be a possible dam for you. But they introduced these freaking trains, these CBTC trains, that can go into emergency while it's moving, whenever it feels like. Oh, it's not a big deal. Wait, hold on. We were getting written up for that, but now you have equipment that dumps on its own, and that's not a big deal? So wouldn't that mean that dumping a train at all is not a big deal? Wouldn't it be more scary that a computer did it than a person who can actually explain what did it, why I did it? No? All these degrees up there. And it feels like this company is run by a bunch of morons. But the funny thing is, it may not be stupidity. It's just lack of concern. They're detached. They don't take the train. Their families don't take the train. This is a notch on their resume. And if you notice, transportation, like the higher ups, they just shuffle around the same people over and over and over. Shuffle around the same people. And I don't know if you guys remember a video not too far back. They hire people that are not even qualified for the job. So then you have the whole, well, I have a connect, or the nepotism thing, or this is my friend, or, you know, so then that person got, so, but these are the people who are responsible for our livelihoods. And then you have, on the other side, you have the sickos that are working there. The people who feel like they need to step on someone to feel good about themselves. Trust and believe, there's plenty of them up there. But I digress. I had other points I wanted to speak on. The contract, let's return back to that. And the tricky wording. So here's a $2 million more a year to improve dental and vision. That's local wide. $2 million is no money. They rely on the fact that it sounds like money to us. But $2 million is not money. Once you divide it up amongst all the employees, it's nothing. But they pose it so it can sound like something. I remember when buses got the articulated bump. What was it? 200% raise. That sounds like a lot, right? But it was $1. So you just have to be careful with the wording. So, like, and then this part here where they say they defeated the doubling of healthcare payroll deductions. Again, what you go in there and say is, hey, MTA, you're making my employees sick. You're responsible for taking care of them. There's no, oh, well, I defeated the fact that they wanted to double it. No, there's no doubling. You take care of your employees. Or we don't work. Like, they were so, this is the thing that they like to throw out there a lot. Oh, the Taylor Law. The Taylor Law. The Taylor Law is stopping us from striking, right? The Taylor Law doesn't cover striking for safety. So, can anyone guess when would have been the perfect time to strike or work stoppage? The pandemic. Let's not forget, they told us not to wear masks. They threatened us with discipline if we wore masks. That would have been the perfect time. But this union administration protects the MTA. I remember when I was on the e-board and the MTA was going through restructuring. And I remember Utana was like, oh, we're going to give them some time. We don't want to go into it right now. We're going to give them some time to regroup. What? We're going to give them some time to regroup? No, they're weak right now. Strike now. They're in shambles right now. This will be the time to hit them where it hurts. No, we're going to give them some time to regroup. They don't even give us time to regroup. I just talked to you about that. Trauma at work, and they don't give you time to regroup. Get your butt back on the train, that's you to go. Get your butt back on the bus, that's you to go. Get your butt back on the tracks. Get your butt back to the mop. Get your butt back in the booth, that's you to go. This company doesn't take care of its workers, and we have no protection. I remember when the union was scared of Janus. If you're not familiar with Janus, that was the right to work, where they were saying like, okay, well, you can opt. Well, we still have it. You can opt out of the union, right? They were so scared that people want to opt out of the union. You wouldn't have to be scared of that if you were doing your job. I didn't hear any other union complaining about Janus or fearful of Janus. You're only fearful of Janus if you're not doing your job. And it's so bad that, like, when you want something done, right? You want something done, you can't even turn to your union. You do better turning to management to get something done. And I also found out the reason why some of the things that we need, we don't get, is because it's not because management is so like hard asses where they're like, you don't deserve that. It's not that. The union doesn't bring it up. Why they don't bring it up? They fear management so badly. They cower to management. And I think I've said this before on previous videos, is that I'm sure you have encountered people like this. It's like you're so, it's like when people are around celebrities and then they cower to them and they think that they put them up on a pedestal. That's what our union does for the MTA. They feel inferior to them. And the only thing I could probably equate it to is maybe like trailer park trash versus WASP. Like that's how I think of them. It's like you got trailer park trash, and they feel like, oh, I'm not as educated. I can't cut it with the WASPy people. Like that's how I look at it. And it's comical. I wasn't raised like that. I'm sorry. I feel like I deserve more. Why I'm still here? I actually like my job. I actually love operating trains. I didn't think I would, but I do. It's this other stuff I don't like. They make the job suck. It's when you get hurt is when the job sucks. It's when you need to recover from illnesses is when the job sucks. It's when you encounter human error is when the job sucks. The actual job, my actual job, train operator, does not suck. I love my job. And I actually enjoy being around some of my coworkers. But, it's just so many different things. And this is inside and outside of contract. Like, our job qualifies as a physically taxing job. So that means what? I think, what is it? When you have a physically taxing job, you can actually retire 22 and out, I think. I think that's what it is. I believe that's what it is. Tramel, you would know. Are you on here? Is it 22 and out on physically taxing job? Do you think the union will press for that? They don't. Why? Because, again, they're invested in employee availability. And not only that, the longer they have us here, the least, least amount of money they got to pay in our pension. Oh, you retire at 50. At 50, I would have 25 years. 26, 25, 26, something like that. I don't even bother to count anymore. I count to that 15 so I finally get my 5 weeks, which is another thing that should have been on here too. Why do other agencies, other municipalities get 5 weeks vacation after 5 years? And I have another question. See, now I'm full of questions because it's like, we're not a city agency. We're a state agency. So why aren't we comparing ourselves to other state agencies? No. Like, if they get 5 weeks after 5 years and longevity pay, some after 10, some after 5. We don't get that either. So no hazard pay, no longevity, no, and that's another thing. The 5 weeks will actually help with mental health. So if you don't want to pay as mental health days, give us the 5 weeks after 5 years. And I'm beyond that. I'm way beyond the 5 years, and I still think we should get 5 years. 5 weeks after 5 years. So yeah, I'm not selfish in that way. I know some people it's like, well, if I don't benefit from it, I don't want it. Yeah, this is just, did anybody hear anything about interdivisional overtime? That's word on the street that we will soon be able to work overtime in another division. So, but what does that do? That helps with employee availability. Like, I wouldn't mind working on the Bravo, well, more so. I wouldn't mind working Concourse Yard and then working Lenox Yard because I live right by Lenox Yard. That would be cool. But, I think I should be paid for that, though. I feel like the fact that I'm qualified in both divisions, I should be paid for that. Because at most jobs, the more qualifications you have, the more money you receive. And I feel like we keep saying the same thing over. Anytime you're qualified on a new piece of equipment, you should be paid more. I don't care if it's $1. I don't care if it's $2. You should be paid more. And Opto should not only, I'm qualified in Opto wherever I go. So if you need it, like if they grabbed you and said, okay, I need you to operate this train, I should be paid for that, the ability for you to grab me to operate that train. People who are qualified CBTC, you should be paid more for that too. Any new piece of equipment, they should be giving us more money. I remember on the OT slip, you used to get paid more. You used to get paid if you took a diversion lineup on a different line. Anybody on the line that remembers that? You used to get paid if you helped a worker or while you were off duty. Like, say something happened on a train and you help them clean out their train. Like, say, because I do that sometimes. Like, if I'm on a train and they go out of service, I'm on my way home, I'll help them clean out their train. You used to be able to get paid for that. But somehow we got to this point where We're just accepting scraps. There's no way we should be making less than $45 in 2023. How is it that minimum wage is catching up? That makes no sense. And you got to live 2 hours outside of the city so you can have some type of quality of life. It makes no sense. Why are we driving to Pennsylvania, Delaware, Wappinger Falls? Why are we going that far? Connecticut. Why are we going that far? Why do we have to go that far? I'm just over it. I mean, I have faith in my department because when it comes down to stuff like this, sometimes we pay attention. That's another, we need to, and I have to mention that too. Now, I know I tell people to go to their union meetings, and I encourage everyone to go to their union meetings. I do. But I understand why people do not come back. Because I can't tell you how many times I've been to the meeting and like, why the hell am I here? They can't answer any questions. And the last meeting I was in, JL pissed me off so badly. My thing is, if someone brings something to you, Diamond Dave brought up a motion to him, and he made fun of it. The train operator chair made fun of a member's motion. He thought it was a laughing matter. Where's your professionalism? I think, the funny thing, I think this is the worst RTO administration ever. 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 Yeah, it's like I feel like they're scamming. I feel like it's a bunch of children. It's like, what the fuck happened? Excuse my language, but what happened? Then I don't even know if you guys heard about the whole safety walk debacle. I'll save that for another video. But you already know how they use release time to, what would you call them? Extort people, I guess? Or they dangle it over people's heads so they could do what they want. Yo, it has gotten so ugly. But the only people who suffer are the members. So now you have people who are actually doing the work for our safety walks are concerned. And because they don't pledge allegiance to our current VP, he gives you the boot. If you like the wrong post, he gives you the boot. If you stand up for another member who he's doing wrong, he gives you the boot. What does that say about him? Such a small man. Such a small man. And I'm not even talking about his height. I'm talking about minded. A small man. But anyway, I'll try to be back on more often. Because there's a lot to talk about, and there will be a lot to talk about. But thank you for your time, everyone. Please take care of yourselves. Put yourself first. Put yourself first. This job can be replaced. I know sometimes financially it does not feel like it can. And that's another thing with them. They keep us in this financial bind so that we have to rely on them. They don't allow us to do dual employment, but we can work a double for them. They can make us exhausted, but they don't want us to do for ourselves because they want to control our money. You are more important than this job. Your family's more important than this job. Your health is more important than this job. And I'm talking about physically and mentally. Take care of yourselves. Check on your strong friends. Go to your meetings. Hold these people accountable. Have a good day. I'm going to sleep. Love you guys. Be safe, please.